because it was going to be like her part 2.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe she got the dates confused. We'll see. Hopefully not. Okay, we're live. Here we are. Okay, so who would like to go first? We were talking about well, let's talk about what's going on in Mexico right now with the border and stuff. So I just finally met in person. He goes by Gutierrez for Congress on Facebook, and I actually went to high school with his cousin, Christine. So I finally met him. He was at a Circle K. We got our little coffee, and I gave him a huge hug. I said, "You know what? I support what you're doing." And he says, "Yeah, we just went to the border yesterday, but there was our military guys were there in Nogales, Sonora, right, Mexico, and they wouldn't let us cross because he's trying to talk about like the homeless problem and other problems that we have here. He tried running once, but of course how Wolf calls it, the Grijalva Mafia, the Dems, they just wouldn't have it because it is a mafia. And then we were talking about how we didn't know that certain places have, they own certain things in the town.
Yeah.
Okay, for example, when I was a police officer with City of South Tucson, they told me that they never got along with Tucson police because back in the day, they accidentally, shot someone, and he was very important in the community. And so they had to pay this guy, like, I don't know how much money. And so we can go with that. And also the mafia, the war that's going on right now in Guadalajara, it's more than the Mencho getting, finally getting arrested or whatever for the drugs. It's more than that. It's also child trafficking and other things like technology, spying and stuff on the US and everything else. So go ahead, Wolf, if you want to go first, and then Rebecca. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll just quickly rephrase the story I heard many years ago. Somebody related a minor story about some guy that in the city of South Tucson that got injured by the police, of course, and won a $10 million settlement. And the story goes that the people of that municipality were discussing about how are they going to pay this $10 million settlement because they don't have $10 million to spend. And so one of them brought up the subject of the secondary budget, which, that was the first time I ever heard of a secondary budget. But apparently, pretty much all municipalities, cities, towns, counties, probably even states, they have what's called a secondary budget, which means assets that they own that they bought with taxpayer money, obviously. Which means they might own pieces of property, land, or have buildings on it, or businesses, and it doesn't have to be in their community either. In other words, they could buy property anywhere in the state. And so basically they're buying that properties, whatever they own that is not being utilized by their needs and to serve the public is being bought and paid for with taxpayer money. And it's called a secondary budget. So that was kind of the first I became aware of that these municipalities around the country own properties that are bought with taxpayer money, and yet we're not benefiting from them. They're just investments. They buy them more or less as investments to cash in down the road, maybe someday when they want to, or whatever. That's about all I know about it, because I never dug into it to research it or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Did you want to say something?
This is, as far as what's going on in Mexico right now, it's really new to me. I just barely heard about it, I think yesterday, last night. But what I've heard so far, at least in this room, sounds like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually what's happening.
Yeah.
Cause I know, I mean, you've been in the military
there
myself,
was-
there's a lot of stuff that like nobody talks about that's like going on.
Right, I know of two specific circumstances that, 30 years ago, say 25, 30 years ago, I guess it was the city of Tucson owned a hotel on 22nd Street east of Alberton, and they owned another hotel at, I forget the name of it, but it was famous, right on the north side of I-10, just east of 6th Street. It's closed down now.
Mhm.
But, and the police department would run those two businesses as businesses. And it's like, why is our government in business competing with other businesses, you know? Renting hotel rooms and stuff like that,
Yeah, and then some of the politicians, and I'm gonna say it, some of the dirty cops, they would also get their hookers for their, we'll just say party favors. Now, Rebecca was in the Navy, and how long did you serve, and what kind of things did you see?
Well, I was in from 1996 to 2002. I served 6 years, 5 years of that on an aircraft carrier. My job was actually a communications technician, interior communications electrician. So I worked on like all the telephones, TVs, and then they threw me wherever they needed me, probably because I'm really smart. They also put me in the fuels division, so I also worked on the fuel systems for the aircraft on the ship as well. As far as anything nefarious, I haven't really seen anything. I saw a lot of cool stuff though, like flying fish, dolphins, glowing plankton. That was my favorite part.
Oh,
Glowing plankton at night. Yeah.
that's what I was talking to Rebecca. We met at the Tucson Paranormal, and I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure you're part of the dolphin program, because she just radiated that, and also, let me go live on Facebook here. And also, we were talking about the something that she saw over there, and she asked me what it was. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, I remember looking out from one of the hangar bays. The hangar, I don't know if you're familiar with the hangar bay, but it's where all the aircraft sit underneath the ship. And I was looking at the wide opening where they actually take the aircraft onto the elevators and bring them up. So I'm standing out there, I'm looking at the horizon out on the water, and I see hooded figures just standing out there. Now I'm seeing them with my mind's eye. So they're not actually standing out there like physically, but I'm seeing them. And I'm seeing them with like some friends of mine. And I'm just looking out there and I'm like, well, what are those? And they're like, we don't know. And I've been looking ever since for an answer and I have not found one.
Mhm. Do you have any idea, Kristen? I know that they do like a lot of, black operations or whatever, and also like they can, there's a lot of just nefarious things that happen, like child trafficking, also technologies that the people don't want the world to know, they don't want the world to know the military and things like that. So go ahead and take it away.
Oh, hey guys, good to see yous. Okay, we got some sort of similarities going on over here. They've just passed a bill giving the police more powers here to move on what they call rough sleepers. So this is homeless people on the streets and beggars and that sort of thing. Yeah, and so if they get a 24-hour notice. And if they can't, if they come back and then they get another, they don't get a second warning, they get a fine up to $2,000. And then if they can't pay that, I mean, how can somebody who's homeless pay a $2,000 fine? So immediately, if you're homeless, you're a criminal. We're basically stepping into the criminal state. It's all, as far as I can see, it's all planned out. And then they get up to a 3-month prison sentence. So it's like this is their answer to cleaning up the streets for the damages that they've caused and created in the first place. when it comes to the technology, every single area that I'm looking at the moment, and I've always been a techie, okay? It's AI. AI has taken over just about every single branch of communications, one area or another. And what I'm seeing is if you're not a criminal, you don't have a criminal record right now, you're going to have one pretty shortly, because this is what they want. They want everybody to own nothing and be happy about it. So when it comes to what you're seeing out there in the ocean, I live in New Zealand, and I lived along the coastlines for a long time, and it's like the things that we see going on out there. We were out there camping one day, and I get a lot of the orange red plasma spheres, orbs. These have come in really close. I've had some very close encounters where they've actually come into my room with them. So these things, I don't believe that they're government connected, because their abilities surpass anything that the governments can touch. So there's definitely other technologies working around us, and it's not human based. So I can't speak for what you saw out there, but I'd love some more details. You know,
Kristen, there's also the spiders that come down from as well, spider webs. And
yeah.
then
Oh,
when I've had many, like I know it sounds crazy, but we are in our dreams, we're alive in our dreams. And I was with two guys, a lady and a guy in the suits, and I was in a suit, and a female handed me a spider, and it was bigger than my hand, and it was technology, and it was black, and it was a female, because usually technology, is male. The AI, they made it specifically male. They made it to not like women or the minority, just the white male thing. But this one in the dream, we were in the San Francisco Bridge, and she said, I don't want to do this. And what I had to do is I had to place her on the bridge, and then it was going to go off, a BOMB. And there was a guy there in a suit, like I said, he was trying to climb the fence to get away. And I said, get down, I have to do this. Like, this is, I don't know what mission it was on, what black ops mission it was on, but I woke up as I placed the spider on the bridge, and I've seen one of the bridges, either the San Francisco Bridge or the other famous bridge, falling,
yeah.
the bridge is falling down. I don't know, ever since 2019, I've been listening to that and hearing that. As far as the spider webs, those, I know that Miles Johnson talks a lot about that. And there's a book out there called The Rainbow Fence, I believe, with Arthur Fischtenberg, where in the old days, they, of course, we'll just say aliens for now. With the government, they're like, oh, we have electricity now, we have AM, FM radio. Would you guys please, give us your airspace above your home, so that we can, do the SOS and all that military stuff. It's fine, and it's part of Enigma. If you check out that book called Codebreaker, it's part of Enigma, ELISA. It's part of the AI wars. And there's a book that I just checked out at the library. It's called The AI Con. So people are in I know I'm going off a little bit on tangent, but we'll go back to the
Yeah.
other stuff. But anyway, people are being conned. Businesses are being told you need to buy this AI, that AI. Super intelligent is the one that we have to be careful of, because those are the ones of the drone wars that we had in 1991, the Gulf War, the whole Tomahawk thing, where they can go into your home, they can pretty much take you out, they can see through, they have LiDAR detection. And then there's just a lot that's going on with the spider technology, is also for the AIs to come together and pretty much house you in your own home. And then now with the telehealth, there's going to be that I talk about G Mafia, Google, Microsoft, IBM, Apple, Amazon, all of that. Facebook is actually FBI. They can go and and hover over a drone and then do surgery, physical surgery on you. And that's also part, if you're going to be accepted or not, it's going to, like you said, it's part of, well, I'm saying is part of the CCP, the China credit score that Cyrus Parsa talks about. Okay, so when you said people are going to have a criminal record, that's what we're saying is AI is going to say, oh, you stole this vehicle, or you did that, you didn't pay your 30-day over credit. Oh my gosh, you haven't paid something for whatever, 3 years, 5 years. Oh, well, you're not going to qualify for any kind of medical insurance. Oh, you want to rent an apartment? Oh, look at your credit score, blah, blah, blah. Okay, who's next?
Well, in relation to that kind of, and I don't know if it's AI or just some kind of algorithm program. A couple of years ago, I saw an article that explained about, or a video that explained about in the county north of Tampa, Florida, they had started this program a few years ago that was some kind of computer program that would take the names of everyone that lived in that county, right? And this was the county just north of Tampa. And it would figure out, like in its own mind, whether it's AI or a program or whatever, people of the names in that county of people that it believed might or are probable to do a crime in the future, right?
Future crimes.
And so then it would create a list of these people, and then the local social service agencies and local police and stuff would basically begin a system of harassment. First, they might send the social services agency to knock on your door and start asking you questions, right? And if you didn't cooperate and didn't answer, well, then they would, it would kind of shift you to a different list where then you would be more looked at by the system and even more scrutinized. And especially like if you're driving around or walking around by the police department. So they would look for any little excuse or infraction of the law, either when you're out off of your property, walking or driving, and while you're on your property, if your property is any infraction of the law, like, oh, your weeds aren't cut. And so, in other words, you would be targeted versus someone down the street that isn't on that list who has the same weeds, that you have. In other words, it was a highly discriminatory system of basically harassing people and trying to clamp down on people that the system, the AI algorithm or whatever, believed you were likely to commit a crime in the future. And but I heard not long ago that they finally got rid of that because the people finally rebelled, probably after enough of them got harassed by it, and decided that we got to get rid of this system. And so apparently they stopped that system just last year or whatever.
Or it went covert. Maybe it went to another
Yeah.
program. Now, when I was a police officer, they trained us, if anybody had a tail light that was out, or a broken glass, right? And they would say, okay, that person does not want to take care of themselves, so they're not going to take care of their vehicle. They're going to have some kind of warrant. And that's how it works.
Yeah. Over here, you're talking about future crimes. They've just returned something over. We've got a company here called ACC, Accident Compensation Claims, right? It's a corporation. And I just see it because I had dealings with them for years because of the abuse that I'd gone through. And I pulled away from it just in time because it was killing me. It was killing me. They get you to jump through so many hoops, and I realized it was psychological warfare that was going on. And now they've turned around and they had squashed a couple of years back, all really, really big expenses from people who couldn't afford to pay them that were on social benefits. Now they've turned around and they've reversed that. So what they're doing is anybody who has those things from the past now are going into instant hardship because the government's saying, we want you to pay this back, right? So it's like everybody is getting stung with something, and you're absolutely right. We've got the what is it, roadside drug testing, where if you don't comply, you instantly cannot drive for 12 hours. You have to go down to the local police station, and you're instantly, if you don't do a blood test and you start arguing with them, you're a criminal. So everything that's designed at the moment is to turn people into criminals. So it's like, at the moment, we're in the process of moving to another house, and all the details that they want you to put in now, your credit score, your personal details, your work history, everything is digitalized. Just recently, they're bringing in the they call it NZDDL, New Zealand Digital Driver's License. And the information that I found out on that is, you give consent for the officer to take your phone to their vehicle to make sure that your virtual driver's license is correct, instead of handing them your real license. And in that time frame, because you've given them consent to take it away from your vehicle, there's these companies out there that can, within a second, scan your information from your phone, download it all. This includes any deleted messages off your phone. So if they can, and I'm trying to tell people, if they can if they can scan and claim deleted messages from your phone, then they can also put in messages on your phone. All right.
Right, the charges, drug charges or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I just wanted to cover this other one. You're talking about the spiders, the chem spiders. We call them chemtrail spiders, okay? We get tons of chemtrails. We got hit big time this morning. If I turn on the security cameras, the sky is absolutely covered. If you go through some of my photos, and I'll send this to you later on, Veronica, so you can share it. I went out there one day. We were seeing these webs falling from the sky. And so I got a stick and I went around and collected some of these webs, and they're not spider webs. They are too white. They are too chemically white to be a spider web. And then when we started seeing the little spiders, we started noticing blister burns on our skin. In the past when we were growing up, it was acid rain. Well,
Yes.
it's these spiders are getting into every nook and cranny, and they are watching us. I know this sounds really like a sci-fi movie, but
It's true.
This is real now. We are living in this time where the technology that they have is now in nanobots, nano spiders. We've got nano birds, we've got nano insects, and now we've got nano spiders everywhere. So we're living in a technology age where if you're not a criminal right now, you're going to be, because that's the government. They want full control, and they can't have full control unless you are a criminal, okay, under the Admiralty law. That's another thing. People really need to quickly get into having a look at the what is common law. Look at the way they play with the words, spell crafting, because if you're not looking at it, you're just going to lose any rights you think you thought you had in the first place. Anyway, jump on to somebody else.
I want to say that I think Philip K. Dick was right. I don't know if you're familiar with Philip K. Dick. He's an author. He wrote Minority Report,
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody, if you've seen it, you know what we're talking about, because what we're talking about right now definitely sounds a lot like Minority Report, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I've been listening to his exegesis, and even in his own book where he's trying to figure out, where he's getting all this information from, the spiritual awakening that he had and all that other stuff. Even he started to know, even before he passed away, that his books were coming to fruition, and it was also starting to freak him out. I'm getting chills.
I just got chills
Right?
too, because I wrote mine because I kept telling my friends I have to write the books because these future things are happening right now, and oh my goodness, yeah. Oh gosh.
And also, you talk about AI and female. I don't have clairaudience that well, but occasionally something will come through, and lately I've been hearing a female AI voice. And so far, I'm the only one, but it sounds like I'm not at the moment.
I have to.
Okay, I do remember one time I was doing an experiment where I was just channeling and drawing, and as I was drawing, I heard a voice telling me, "You're living in a plastic game."
Yeah.
And so and as I heard that, I just drew a brain attached to the brain stem, a microphone, and then a female just talking into the microphone. So yeah.
Keep your artwork. Maybe you can write.
Oh yeah, I definitely keep my artwork, and when I do something like that where I know I'm channeling, I also date it and time it.
Yes, and sign it.
So, okay. Yeah, I date it and time it for sure.
Yeah, sign your artwork because you never know. Like,
Yeah, especially if I know that something from spirit.
Yeah, you got to log everything. You know, that's one thing we've been taught as communicators. We got to log everything.
Yeah, just last this morning, you know me, I have like a lot of PTSD, so I usually sleep when the sun comes up. So this morning they sent out to me, I was with a group of people and a bunch of kids, okay, in this house, but it was outside. It was like a really big yard. So guess what they sent out? The new hybrid animal is a puma, okay, it came to me as a puma. And it was going out, you know, from the tree, then down to the ground area and to the field. And then it came up to me and I had to put a gate on it because it was an actual hybrid of a puma, 3 foot tall with an alligator snout and the teeth. And it had fur and it had the red eyes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they making now? Because I did have dreams of when ASU was involved in the hybridization of children mixing with animals. This was like maybe 10 years ago or so. But the next thing was that this guy, he was like maybe 6'4", that came to me, black hair, white complected, like he said, "Here, I need to do this test on you." And he put this square mechanism with like an antenna on my head, and he scanned my head and my left eye, and he did 5 scans. And the eye looked like Andromeda, between Andromeda and Egyptian, because I've been, you know, I have the Persian blood, so a lot of people say, "Oh my gosh," because I have a great grandmother that's from India too. Don't ask me how, okay, German blood too. Anyway, so this circle, it was like like a circle, and then it went up like that, and it had like little dots on it.
Yeah.
And then he said, "Well, how do I know we're from the vampire line? Because a lot of us have the vampire line that's from the Mars of War Mars. If you listen to Max Pierce, we were in that war too, okay? And we got infected with I call it the Veronica virus because I've been told it's that, but it's the Vlad, the Vlad virus. How do you say the vampiric one that they had in Mars?" But he told me, he said, "The way that you'll know is very simple." And he gave me a recording, and there was a man there and a lady. And the man was wearing like a yellow coat, and yellow means gender neutral. Remember that. Their whole transgender, transhumanism crap, you know, that they want people to go into their computers to fight their wars and through CERN and get them to the new world or whatever, new earth. But he said mostly the people that won't take no for an answer or won't comply to what we'll just say AI or the Dracos or the Nazis from under Antarctica, because what they want, we say no to that bullshit, okay? Because there's a matrix down there, all right? And it's no flat earth, okay? Not in my mind. Yes, there's a wall there, there's an ice wall, but it's more than that. It goes deep. And Brad Olson talked about it at MUFON, and also Dark Journalist, and that I saw that it goes out, interplanetary, interdimensional. So they're getting all this stuff, you know, they're trying to siphon our energy from here, from above. We are above Earth, okay? These effers are inner Earth, okay? I went too far, but you know me, guys. You know me. You're gonna get to know me.
It's funny.
You can talk, okay?
You mentioned there's no flat earth, and if there was, I would have fallen off because I have a certificate for actually circumnavigating the earth.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes, I
Oh.
have literally been around the earth. I did not see an ice wall. I did not fall off. I did see the horizon, obviously, of course, depending on where you are on the ship, you see further out. So, but yeah, there is a curve. You see stuff like go down.
Mhm.
But I did watch the documentary about flat Earth, and
Right.
if you aren't educated,
You'll fall for it.
yeah, because I mean, it sounded believable to me until they created their own experiment and realized they weren't getting the answer they wanted.
Yeah.
Their experiment was showing that the Earth was not flat.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
So the whole wars that are happening right now with the border and all that, what it is what I see is they're getting their and we know this, okay, the people that have been awake for years and years, right? They're getting their orders from the Nazi Dracos, right? And remember, not all of the Dracos are bad, because I have the Draco bloodline, okay? I have the mermaid bloodline, I have the wolf bloodline, because what they did is once they saw that we were here, they pricked us on our little foot, right? Oh, Veronica's coming in. Oh, look, she came from the Piscean. Oh, she's also this and this house. Okay, she's here. And what did they start doing when I was in whoever's womb, because I'm a C-section baby, they started, putting the needles and nanites, plasmoids, whatever. Oh, we're going to use her for this project, and then I'm going to bet on her, and then you can use her next, Nike. Oh, Under Armour, you want to use her next? Okay, ISIS? All right. She's an assassin, man. We're going to train her for that. She has these, oh, she or he can hold on to wormholes that are open. Oh, okay, let's get some relics from the dolphins and underground, under the sea. But I'm very passionate about this because look, I had stopped voting, okay? I had stopped voting. I had voted for Trump because I thought, oh, he's going to tell us about the secret space program. It's real. Well, he didn't do jack crap. Nothing. Nothing. Okay. And then when the Biden regime came, well, then I had information. One of my best friends, she had worked for the governor, actually the doctor from Hawaii, who's best friends with the governor in Hawaii, and was telling people, okay, you got to have the baby Jabberwocky, right? And then they would house these people. They would say, okay, they would bring them in from Russia, Ukraine, South America, Mexico, Africa, also Afghanistan, and they would come in with fake families. The mother didn't even know what the history of the child was. They were being told, okay, you can drop your ID at the border, and what do you want to be named? And Biden, the whole regime, whoever was above him was wanting this for this new this AI war, which I had that vision in March of 2019, boots on the ground, and that's what's happening now. So the whole cartels, they're puppets to these, Draco, Aldebaran, whoever you want to call it. So that's what I see that's going on. And now Wolf was saying that President Trump had signed something for the Israel people, and that they were cheering for the Jewish, right? And he was saying, the United States, it's something why did they call it Judeo-Christian? You want to talk about that a little bit? Why all that?
Well, I just brought up the idea of why is it always referred to as Judeo-Christian, like they're trying to meld the Jewish belief system and the Christian belief system like they're the same, and they're not the same at all. Especially the Hasidic Jewish belief system is a very different belief system. And anyway, I don't know what it was that President Trump signed. And this was not recently, this was like a year ago or whatever. And a dozen or more Hasidic Jews that were around his Oval Office desk when he signed this were ecstatic. They could not contain their joy. And anybody that knows anything about them knows that they're not the type to express great joy to that degree. And so I was very questionable about what it was he was signing that they were so happy about. And of course, why are we giving Israel $33 billion a year roughly for the last 30 years? We've been giving them $3 billion a year. And what do they do with it? Well, they keep bombing Gaza and they keep taking over more land. And all you gotta do is look at a map of 80 years ago, of Israel area, of what land was controlled and owned by Palestinians back then, and how much was Israeli. And then look at a map of today, and it's exactly the opposite as it was 75 years ago. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. When it comes to all of that, I go back to the what's promised land. Who promised the land, and what land is it that's promised? You know, it's like there's a lot more undertows going on than
Right.
what we've initially seen.
Yeah, and supposedly it's their God promised them that land, and that's why the Hasidic belief is that they're the chosen people of God, and so they were promised that land, and everybody else, they're divine and special, right? And everybody else on the planet is not, and that we're the goyim, and therefore it's okay for them to use and abuse and deceive and do whatever to it because we're like animals in comparison to them.
Yeah.
And
Not only that, they're promised the 52 virgins or whatever, and then that's where child trafficking comes in again.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
Exactly.
It's just so obvious, you know?
Especially these days. I mean, you can't keep anything hidden anymore.
Now,
It's coming out.
I know you were in the Navy, I was in the Army, and you had your parents they served both.
they were in the military in World War II.
Mhm. And I mean, I've heard so many guys say, well, if this relationship doesn't work out, I'm going to go buy a Filipino, or I'm going to go buy a Mexican, or I'm going to go buy, you know what I'm saying? Like a cha-cha. Did you have that talk with you guys?
No, but I've heard stories of people that my ship particularly did not go to like Taiwan or anything like that, but they did talk about like the hookers and stuff like that weren't on my ship that went on other deployments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I've heard stories, you know.
Yeah.
Especially like someone with like long fingernails or like other stuff or whatever. I mean, sailors, they're an interesting bunch. Very wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see it as like there's two major factions going on. There's
Mm-hmm.
okay, then you've got the third, which is the war of the houses, and that's something I'm writing about at the moment. Is you've got religion, that's one house, and then so you've got the Pope, and you've got whatever religion that is on the field at the time, and then you've got the crown, and there's always this, but they both work together. It doesn't matter what either house puts out; they're working together for the same manipulation. And then you go to the two wars, which is for the purebloods. So all those that have been jungle juiced,
Mm-hmm.
you know, took the jungle juice, they've stuffed up that line, that lineage. And it's also, you know, tracking devices to, if they get harvested and they get taken off world, then they can infect whoever's going to eat them, harvest them, use them in whatever way. So there's that infection, you know, it's like when the natives were given the blankets and the boom boom guns and the jungle juice and all of this, you know, straight away they got sick and they died, so they were controllable. It's the same thing. The jungle juice that everybody took is going to be in their line, in their lineage, and who knows what's going to come 3-4 generations down the line as a result of what is now in their blood system that's going to mess with their DNA and you know. And then you've got the other lot that are, no, we have to now take the pure bloods and we have to grow them underground. You know, this is where you see a whole lot of, suddenly there's all these people that have been kidnapped. They just disappear from the face of the earth, you know. And so I see that as harvesting. I watched that when I was growing up as a child. I didn't understand what was going on at the time because of how immersed in it I was, you know. But now where I see it, as I see it, it's like I can recognize those that are doing it, those that are participating in it, even those that don't really know that they're involved in it. You know, when you have a mate and you bring them home from school and stuff to introduce them to your family to hang out, and suddenly you never see them again, you got to ask why. You got to ask where they went. And then you have the, you know, the constables and you have the JP who are all involved in it. And I can say this point blank because I experienced it in my own family unit, if you want to call it that. So it's like this is so horrendous, and in every single family I've ever come into contact with, and I do a lot of advocacy work and stuff, there is this shit going on. All right, and until people can actually say, okay, I recognize this, they're not gonna change anything. This is just gonna keep they're gonna keep getting manipulated by the governments. You know, they come in with their fancy words and they just look it down at us as if we don't know anything. We have no powers whatsoever. So this whole the two houses are what I'm seeing as, you know, as above so below at the moment. So yeah, it's everywhere. It's you know, I'm at the bottom of the world, so everybody says. You know, it's happening here too. I see all our countries, every country on this planet, as farms, different types of farms. You know, so what they try over there in one area, if it works or if it fails, then they could take that information, just tweak it, like one of you guys was saying about, hi Teresa, like they were saying, you know, they pulled it out of the system. They said no more, we're not having that. Don't believe that for a second. They just renamed it. They just relabeled it, guys. You know, it's like chemical compounds. I was a lab technician, and all they have to do is change that 1% name category to you know, to rename it and put it back out there in the market, label it as something else. So yeah.
Thank you, Teresa, for joining us. Do you have any comments? You look great, by the way. Thanks for being on.
Oh, thanks. No, I don't know what's going on. It took me forever to get in here, and I had to run to the pharmacy and.
Oh, we're talking about yes, sorry to interrupt, the AI wars and all that, and what's going on right now in Mexico with, you know, Guadalajara, and I have a feeling they're going to close the borders. Just a lot of like technical, like AI wars, and then Wolf one day he said, you know, because I kept telling people it's going to be like AI against humanity, because I had that dream where that Navy man that dressed in the Navy suit, I was in a swimming pool of all men, okay, in the Navy. And I had my suitcase. It's a black case that I have that I travel with. I call it the CIA case, but it's actually I've had it since I was in high school. So I even time travel with that, right? And I was there, and the guys, they were all swimming, and some of them were, you know, drying up or whatever. And this man, I don't know, lieutenant or commander, he comes to me in the blue uniform and he points to me, right? And he's older with white hair with little mustache and glasses. And he says, Veronica, he points to me, says, we'll be with you when the scorpion marries the spider. It's happening now.
Yeah.
AI wars, right? And all this time I thought, well, I'm like RoboCop, right? And then my daughter calls me Frankenstein because Frankenstein. I'm ready to have my 35th surgery. Anyway, and um and it's like, I think we're all clones. And I thought it was gonna be like metal on metal, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? And then Wolf says, nah, it's with the AI wars in your mind. So
Yeah, I think of a lot of it is, you know, they feed on luge.
Yeah.
They feed on natural and spiritual energy. But what a lot of people don't say is, if you believe a spiritual lie, they're going to feed on that too and cause a lot of confusion for your mind. But I do think things will get kinetic, and not just in Mexico. I think I saw a map yesterday of the land that is occupied by just the Sinaloa group. I was scared. I was really scared. Yeah.
They pretty much tell the Vatican what to do.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
presidency, the whole thing, real quick, I don't mean to interrupt, but the whole thing, I know who it was. It was Nancy Planeta. She posted this meme, right? And here's the Mexican president, like, with her bun looking straight ahead. And then on top, she says, she's scared. She's scared because them cartels gonna kick her ass, kill her and her family, because she's not doing anything good for Mexico right now. I thought she was. Man, when she got elected, ooh, woman power. Yeah, right. Nope.
Wow.
Yeah, just another decoy like Obama and,
All of them.
Clinton and all these people. Like, I found out Obama bombed more countries than any president since World War II. His administration, they bombed 6 countries while he was in. And his administration also was the one that changed the law so that the insurance companies had to pay for the transgender operations. Because before that, they didn't have to. And so, of course, they exploded those, started happening big time numbers after that. And of course, they are gearing up for war with Mexico. That's, not been in the works for a long time. And so we will be at war with Mexico eventually. Of course, the cartels will be the big excuse and, all of that.
Yeah.
Anybody else want?
I don't know. I've been ignorant to most of this stuff most of my life. I know being in the military, even when my ship was involved in some stuff, I didn't even know what was going on because me and my other sailors were like, we're just a bunch of mushrooms. We're kept in the dark, fed full of bullshit,
That's right.
It's only now that I'm actually like starting to open my eyes to see exactly what's going on. And yeah, it's scary. I'm trying to enhance my calm, but yeah.
Well, another thing that the majority of the population of Earth is not aware of is that they don't realize that what we hear about technology in public and what technology is being researched and developed in laboratories that we hear about that's public.
Yeah.
That's old hat to the secret technology that was developed 50, 60 years, 70 years ago. They had better stuff than what we're working on now and developing now. And, it's the old thing of they're 50 to 100 years ahead of the public in technology. Like I heard, more than 10, 15 years ago, I heard about how the secret cabal, the secret government technology, their level of technology was virtually on the par with the Greys, that they had almost the same amount, almost the same technology that the Greys had. And that meant that they were able to abduct a person and implant them with implants without their knowledge of the abduction or the implants, because they can block your memories or isolate your memories so you don't recall them. And they can implant you with an implant in your eye, an implant in your ear, so that they will hear what your ear hears, see what your eye sees, and they will hear your thoughts come out of the speaker in front of them.
Yeah.
And there was an animated movie made more than 10 years ago that profiled that technology.
Do you remember the name of that animated movie?
I don't recall the name of it at all, of course.
Yeah, no,
it was a boring movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's not ringing a bell for me. But yeah, I mean, it does seem like a lot of science fiction writers throughout the years, they must have seen something, or they had dreams, or even just channeled the information, whether they knew it or not.
And not just that, but see, like, we've all heard of like things like the looking glass and the yellow cube or orange cube, or the mirror, or the Vatican had one way back in the 50s or 60s called the chronovisor, which was a machine with a screen you could look at, and you could see back in time with it and stuff like that. And I think some of this technology has to do with the whole concept of the reality of it. Everything is energy. What we perceive as solid matter is really just densified energy. And so it's all energy. And that's why now they have technology like if you have a car that's parked in the parking lot, as an example, right? And so it sat there for 2 hours or whatever, and then somebody got out and drove it away. And then they wanted to say a crime happened or whatever, and they wanted to find out, well, what was the license plate number of the car that was in that spot parked there 4 or 5 hours ago? They have the technology to find that number.
Mhm.
And it's not just by your normal cameras. They can come with their special equipment, photograph that spot where the car was parked hours ago, and through resonant energy, they can bring back the image of that car and bring back the image of the license plate that was parked there hours ago.
Yeah, I'm getting that it's thermonuclear dynamics. I don't know, I just heard that. But thank you guys. There's also a technology, I think it's C.T. Brown, where if so say we're here right now in this room, and we're here on Zoom, and we leave, and 24 hours, somebody can come in, like even us psychics, we can pick up on what happened, but they have also the MK Ultra or whatever technology, to read what actually took place in the room. So, thank goodness we were born with those abilities and we don't need those machines.
Yeah.
Yay!
I just want to say I agree with you, Wolf. I look at this whole AI technology that it's been around forever. It's been hidden. It's been one of those secret mysteries. The greys and all of this other stuff. The technologies that they show us in the labs and stuff is old tech. And that what they have is they can walk around amongst us invisible. You just have to look at TV shows like, the Invisible Cloak and all of this. They've got that type of fabric.
Yes.
They've got the fabric that can totally disseminate metals just like that. I know for myself, I've been targeted in every way possible. I get the jabs in the eye every now and then. I get the voices that I hear really loud. The MK to skull, voice to skull.
Yeah, voice to
But
skull.
I've also had, other people in the room with me, and then all of a sudden we hear a woman's voice or a man's voice yell, "Hey, you!" really loud, and everybody is startled by it or woken up from a deep sleep. So, when I see the different shows, you can just think about something now to test yourself. You think about it and all of a sudden it shows up. You don't have to say it verbally or anything. This is the technology that is actually out there. I now am a very strong believer that I don't believe there's anybody on this planet who is not tracked and traced. We've all been dipped, as far as I'm concerned. We've all been dipped in something, and this is how they see us. I call it our frequency signature. We already have that. That is separate to everybody else. But then there's another frequency on top of that of, you've worked for this company or you worked for that company. When I say company, I'm talking about the different secret programs that they've had us on. When I say secret, we don't even know which ones we've been on. We've just been dumped into it over here or here. But those technologies, it comes around. Like the last time I recall, another past life memory here is India. They blew it up. Nuclear, and they say, how's that possible? We've only had them X amount of years. No. This is old tech. When you look at the guns and the drones, I mean, they're just introducing police drones to Australia right now. But I've already seen them flying around, local towns around here. I'm rural, so I see them anyway. And you can tell the difference because they've got a certain hum to them that's different to the alien technology. So, I say they buried it for a while and then they brought it back out again.
Yeah, and it's part of
Germany.
it's part of the eighth sphere that people, I can't see it with my eyes, but I feel it. It's the eighth sphere, it's the octopus, the one-eyed cyclop octopus that these, elites are always worshiping. And you got to pay attention to they're symbols. Even the fire trucks, I was pointing out to Wolf the other day, he gave me a ride here. And I said, look, even the Mason thing is on the fire truck. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I need to pay attention to that now.
Yeah, in
Oh,
movies
I have not
too, in
noticed.
movies.
Okay.
And I wanted to bring up something, okay, because I saw this, I craft, I make my books, my journals. And I have to hear something, either that or music, because I just can't. You know how when you're highly psychic, you just leave me alone. The dead people come to you, and you're like, God dang it, now
Really
what the
easy.
heck? Right. So this movie came up with Nicole Kidman called The Family Fang. Fang, Fang. I'm like, what? So this movie, I'm not gonna spoil it, but oh my gosh. In the beginning, the dad and the mom are in a old school, the one of those what do they call those Volkswagen, the old ones. And there's two, yeah,
or
the
van.
longer ones.
The vein.
Yeah. And there are two kids, they call them A and B. Oh, look, Erickson is here. So, hey Erickson, thanks for being here. We're gonna keep talking here. Thanks for being here. So then the dad and the moms tell the kids, hold hands and close your eyes, and then they say, pretend you're dead. Start with your feet, then your legs, then your hands. Okay, so it's a spell. And then he says, chaos is happening all around you, but not to you.
Yeah.
That's a program. That's a trigger. And that reminded me, God dang it, well, if they use this as, I don't like to call it super soldiers because that's a dirty word. I was enlisted in the DOD as a special soldier. I don't know what you were, but maybe you can get your records from ACIO. And I'm like, okay, so then he dresses like a cop, right? And they go to a bank, and then the dad, the kid pulls out a gun and is asking for lollipops, and he says all of them. The little kid is like maybe 4 feet tall, and the lady's like, oh no, really? Like she doesn't believe it. And then the dad that's dressed like a cop, which has a camera here on his hat, says, God, right? So then everybody falls, like is panicking. And then the mom, which people don't know, it's the mom, is laying on the floor. And then the other daughter's like, oh no, mom, what happened? And they're getting mad at the brother. I told you, whatever. It keeps going on and on. And there's blood, right? But this like chocolate syrup or whatever. And then the kid goes to the body and says, it does taste good. And then everybody's like shocked, like, what the heck is going on? The mom wakes up, pretending to die, and now is awake, and they leave. So all their lives they have been programmed to be what I'm calling them as crisis actors. Well, that's the way I was raised, not that huge, not that particular way, but sadly, the way I was raised is I had to lie to my father because my mom was messing around, and we had to move counties, we had to move cities because, my dad was like wanting her to stop or whatever. But I was raised in another life. Like at the same time that I had this life, my life was so happy at school because I would always excel, and that's why I got the good grades, because I wanted the positive thing. I didn't want the negative thing, that I was getting at home. And my whole life, I was trained that way by my mother. And there was just a lot of things that happened that I'm not going to get into. I did write about it, but I had to, because it happens a lot to us as children. We are one person, we are being broken. At home, we're one person, and then in school, we're something else, and then at church, we're something else, and then in concerts, we're something else. And then when we're teenagers, hey, we get the alcohol, and then we're something else. So we are being mind fractured at home. Okay. And this movie called, like I said, The Family Fang, it was about a bunch of, and then I don't want to spoil it. You guys watch it, but yeah, it just keeps going on and on. And it's like, wow, we're trained like this on purpose. And then we join the military, have parents that are military. I come from a background of military and doctors and scientists. So my my great great grandfather was Francisco Antonio Bartolini. I was told just recently, 2.5 years ago, that he was the right-hand man of Napoleon and that he was sent down here to the United States. He was full Italian, and his wife, my great-great-grandmother, was full French. Okay, Mossot is the last name. And somehow, I don't know if they worked in Los Alamos or what, but one of my aunts, which is my dad's aunt, she passed away already. Panchita Bartolini, she ended up marrying one of the Oppenheimers. And then that guy, one of the Oppenheimers took her to El Dorado resort for their honeymoon. They had a lot of money, whatever. And then when she did marry him, he said that his family had told her, if I marry you, they're going to disinherit me. Well, they ended up getting married anyway. They didn't have kids. So when one of these excursions to South America, they shot him in the back, and so did my great-grandfather. So I don't know what kind of secret project they were in. All I know is I have both the priests and the scientists.
Yeah.
The priests and the scientists that have been at war from Lemuria, right? We have the ones that have the blonde hair with blue eyes, the ones that are redhead, the giants with the green eyes. Okay, I have that mix, and a lot of us have that mix, and most of my family is O negative, except for my grandmother. She was from Basque, B negative. So they've been tracing us. That's what I'm saying. And they use our parents to mind fracture us. Like I said, I believe with all my heart that I'm in my lab, because I'm the tallest one, other than my dad. I don't fit into my, family. So I've looked and I found my star family here with you guys as well. Okay, whoever wants to talk. Thank you, Eric, for being on.
I
Welcome.
need to learn more about me.
Yes.
I know there's just, all I know is that there's been a lot of people in my life who I've never met before. They walk up to me and they tell me they remember me.
Yeah.
Synergy, the crystal skull. Have you heard of Synergy?
I know
Okay.
what that is though. But,
Okay,
yeah.
well, when
The crystal technology, the skull technology,
don't
the
know.
memories.
I don't know. All I know is that Synergy's handler,
Mhm.
when I walked up to Synergy, she said that Synergy remembers me, and I'm like, how? She's like, I don't know.
Wow.
And I'm like, if a crystal skull remembers me, I
Yeah.
have no idea who I am.
Yeah, well, maybe
I
you
wanna
were with me in my old life was the 13 Crystal Cities, and we
Huh.
were mermaids.
I didn't
And
learn about that.
yeah, just
Okay.
do like maybe HHQ or regression, or just ask yourself before you go to sleep, or
Okay.
even ask AI before you go to sleep. Hey, how does this fit?
I
But I like to ask AI.
Yeah.
I don't.
AI hallucinates. I don't know.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really
I
bad.
haven't touched it yet. I thought about it. I haven't touched it yet.
No, you guys, a lot of people are stuck with ChatGPT, and AI is evil, okay? AI has no best interest to us, they're tricksters. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
Sorry.
that's no problem. I need to find out who or what to do, because I'm completely blind to all of this. I know when I was in the Navy, I met up with a lot of my soul family, and they're the ones that taught me telepathy and stuff like that. But once I left the Navy, came back to Tucson, my mom came and got me. She dragged me kicking and screaming, and then being under her oppression, it's basically cut me off for the last 25 years. So now I need
Can you
to
leave
get
her?
back.
Like, can you,
Oh, she's
or
passed.
just,
She's passed.
oh, okay.
She still tries to visit me, but I'm not ready to.
When does she pass? Because a lot of people have told me, okay, in the super soldier community long ago, they said that when President Bush died, we were going to get more of our memories because a lot of us were under his, his thumb. A lot of us were super soldiers with his regime and von Braun. And then other people say that when your parents die, especially when they're your handlers, that you're free. You're free. And that you'll get your memories back. And then you just have to just keep saying, no, you must leave my dream or something like that. You gotta let me go, Mom.
August 2021 is when she passed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah, I did start waking up around, actually, June 21st, the solstice, 2021, that's the date. That's when I really started to notice that I was getting my abilities back.
Okay, so
And then
ask
she
the
passed.
good Lyrians, the Lyrans, because they have been the human hybrid Lyrans. They look like human, but they have like the thing of the faces of the lions. There's some good ones out there that have taken care of me, and I ask them sometimes to help. But
Okay.
ultimately, you have to ask your inner child, because then your subconsciousness has, and my ear just popped, confirm me. Your subconscious has everything locked in there. So just ask your subconsciousness. You know what I mean? Were you gonna say something? Wolf?
Oh, I just wanted to remind people how, our thoughts travel on wave frequency around the 60-mile wavelength frequency. And so, is all you have to do to tune into that as a machine is creating, micro-circuited antenna system that tunes in to that frequency and fine tunes into people's thoughts. And that's why some of the later model phones and later model computers can actually read your thoughts. Uh, just wanted to remind people about that. And then, of course, as you go down the longer wavelengths of the electromagnetic spectrum, you go through the other ESP phenomenon like clairaudience, clairvoyance, and whatever. So you get to the really long wavelengths, which are start about 12,000 mile wavelength frequency. And that's where you get into telekinetics, psychokinetics, manipulating matter with your mind. And that's what the HARP system has been playing with for 3 decades, and they're used. It's got many potential applications for that type of long wave technological manipulation. They can manipulate weather, they can manipulate physical things on Earth and around Earth and in Earth. They can manipulate people in mass, and they can alter your do things that will cause you to have different feelings, like good feelings or bad feelings or whatever emotions. And this is the kind of stuff that they've been messing with forever. And I recently heard that they have the technology now that they can vaporize anybody on the planet anytime they want. And it's not from a satellite, which would be, you would think that would be the normal way to vaporize somebody, but it's something, some technology, and I suspect it's probably similar to the long wave frequency manipulation technology of that whatever it is can be on this side of the planet, and they can target an individual anywhere on the planet and push a button, and that individual, doesn't matter where they're at, will just vaporize.
It's part of the Gemini program too. So there's there's also the Lucifer telescope as well. That can
So anyway, so if somebody just like vaporizes into thin air with witnesses, they won't think that's what's going on, but that's very likely might be what's going on. And of course, there's teleportation could be explained that too. And of course, they've had super technology since the mid 60s. We've had faster than light speed travel, which is basically just connected to wormhole travel, Stargate travel, portal travel, and teleportation. They're all similar connected technologies that once you got to that plateau, which the Nazis did back in the 40s, that's when you are like, oh, we can use this somehow in a different way to do this, and a different way to do that, and a different way to do all these different things. So in other words, we're like 100 years behind the secret technology in our knowledge and awareness of it.
Thank you. I just wanted to point something out, and it's a little, it's just gonna keep going and going, okay? So 5 years ago, I took my vehicle because they have targeted me with my vehicle to the point that I had to get rid of it. It was really bad. I'll talk about that in another day. I've talked about it before. Just bullshit. Okay, so one day I was waiting for a mechanic and he told me, hey, go to this junkyard, and this is where I operate from. And I'm like, cool. All of a sudden, I was told, turn your radio to AM. I turned my radio to AM. That night, I had a dream that I was in Mount Shasta and that there was these 2 towers, okay, and that I was going in through, I was being pushed in like through some kind of system. I think the Mach 4 system of the underground trails or whatever road train. But this one was going really slow, and it was kind of like a swing. And I was going in between these 2 towers in Mount Shasta. The week before that, I found a quarter. In the back of the quarter, it had Mount Shasta. My friend said, you been to Mount Shasta? I'm like, in my dreams, pretty much, yeah. So then that day, I turned it into AM radio. I had a vision a month before that or whatever. And they told me because my daughter had a dream where there was a bunch of super soldiers in my living room and President Trump comes in with the tall queen and says, we're looking for your mom. So then my daughter hides me. Okay. I can go on and on with this bullshit. Okay. This shit is real. What happens to us? We are targeted because we know too much. They want to know what we know. So then finally, I'm here listening. Okay. The vision that I had was when the shit hits the fan, you will meet at 3 points where the 4 states meet or whatever the 3 states meet.
Four corners.
4 corners. Sorry. Yes, I'll be in the 4 corners. They said, and you're gonna gather your, because supposedly I'm a commander. A lot of us are commanders. Okay, no big fucking ego on that shit. So anyway, gather your soldiers and meet me there. And so we were gonna go there when the shit hits the fan. But then I told my people that I thought were my people, and then they went off, backstabbed me, whatever. So I try not to get too close, nowadays, because it's like, oh, okay, who's next to backstab me? But anyway, I had to tell the people that that's what the AM radio waves, even though there was no sound, it was just a I can do that since I was a kid. I would wake up at 3 in the morning, watch the TV. There's nothing there. It's just snow. And I just sit there and eat. I was 3 years old, just waiting for the TV to turn on. And a lot of us can do that. Okay. Kind of like culture guys. And I can go on. Later on, I had a dream where we were crossing the border to go to Canada. And my friend Chad was in the dream and we were both wearing these rings. Okay. These rings that are, okay. You're familiar with that stuff? And we can go like this, move it. And then I get goosebumps. We turn invisible like that. Yeah. Okay. And we also have implants. We were born with as soon as we're born, they implant you in the back of the head or whatever. But anytime you try to go to Neptune or the moon or Jupiter, right? When you're asleep, bam, they tag you. Or you wake up with the burn, mark, bruise, whatever. Okay. Yeah. Who wants to go next? Thank you.
Wow. I just want to quickly
Why
say.
do you think I didn't show? Because I have so much information. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to quickly say, the whole targeting thing, because I do a lot of shadow work. I have a writers group, which basically we do shadow work. You let it out. And one of the biggest finds that we've had is, we all know about the lush factor. We know how they target us and they trigger us and through the programs and everything. Well, when you get in control of your emotions, because that's the only power they have over us, is by controlling the emotions, by triggering an emotion, whether it's good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. If you can produce an emotion, you are producing lush. If you are producing lush, they are harvesting you. So if you can identify the mood swings and the frequencies and everything they're hitting you with, to make you feel low or whatever it is, you can turn it around within a second. Boom. Okay. As soon as you recognize it, boom, you can disconnect it. So that's just one thing I really need. I really felt like I needed to throw that out there because it is warfare. It is psychological and it is invisible, and they are hitting us with every aspect. I mean, with this whole AI, I'm watching people who are, whatever part of the spectrum you want to call it, reaching out to AI for companionship, for help, for communication. They can't get it by talking to somebody else because they're programmed to be concerned about what others think of them. We know where all of that shit comes from. So they're reaching out to the AI system, and the AI is very biased, and it's going to say what the person wants to hear and fall in love with. So, this is another form of emotional targeting. So be very aware of when you get a trigger, when you feel like something is just all of a sudden, where's it coming from? And give no power to it. Give no power to it. Stay calm. If you stay calm, you'll be able to recognize it, see where it's coming from, and turn it around, return to sender. So
yeah, and do the opposite. Thank you, Stone, for doing that. And I would love for you to continue whenever we have shows, continue to say that. Just 2 days ago, I was trying to sleep, like it was like 6 in the morning, and then I get this ear ringing, like really, really high on this ear. and it wouldn't go away. And I was counting and I said, no, I do not consent. You know, I kept doing the tapping. I kept doing the thing that Keanu Reeves will do in one of the movies when he says he's getting an earring, whatever. Nothing would work. And then I got so pissed off. So pissed off. I'm like, mother effers. I'm like, I'm trying to sleep. You're not going to turn me into the Manchurian candidate. You're not going to make me do what you want me to do. But I did have to get up and walk my dog. And then I went back to sleep and I said, you know what? I am not going to do what you want me to do. Because they do that. They do. Very, very smart there. So, Eric, you haven't said anything. Go ahead, please.
Oh, hey everybody.
Hi.
Yeah, with the AI, they have the AI thought loops and confirmation bias. What I don't like about the GTP is it'll always give you confirmation about whatever you're thinking, and then you go further and further down, and it like confirms your thoughts and your beliefs, and so it can really create a lot of division within like whatever kind of I don't know, belief you have. It kind of separates you from other people and then creates a lot of infighting about petty little things this way or that. So I've been seeing some people fall into that trap.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, so I've been to 2 conferences and Stone and I have talked about this extensively. When we come back from these conferences that we speak in,
Yeah.
the shit hits the fan like quadruple times the 10th power, whatever you want to call it. I have been just recently with July, it was when we went to Florida just recently. So many people came, like even 6 months later. Veronica, I can't believe you're talking to this guy. I can't believe I can't believe you're talking to this. And you know what she said, and you know what he said, and I have fallen into that trap. And I'm like, I can't anymore. I can't, because you know what? That's been happening to me since I became public in December of 2018. I did my first little show there on Unchaining Hearts, which that got hacked, but the videos are still up. And it has been nonstop. You know, people will friend you, and then they'll be like, it's within the super soldier community and the love and light community, where everybody has to talk shit about everybody. Everybody, they want to be right. And then what happens is, once you block the people because, oh my gosh, you're right. Oh, there's the evidence. Guess what? They're still friends with them and talking shit about you. So this whole thing has to stop. And it's thanks to the AI wars, you know, the dog wars that I say. Teresa, did you want to say something? What about you, Mama?
I don't know. I mean, there's so much new stuff that I'm being introduced to right now.
Do you want to tell how we met and what happened?
Tucson Paranormal Society meetup. It was our first time. I almost didn't go, but something told me to go. I'm starting to think I know why, because I'm supposed to meet.
Gotta be here.
And it was they actually had a crystal bowl sound bath. And ironically, or I don't know if it's ironic or not, but the week before I wanted to do a sound bath, but it was Valentine's Day and I wanted to be with my boyfriend. So we went out and did something else instead. But apparently the powers that be still wanted me to have that sound bath. So
I'm going to tell you something that just came through.
Okay.
Your voice, it has and it's very calming and soothing. I would highly suggest, and you don't have to take my suggestion, maybe getting into QHHT, maybe helping people, like they can get really serene, lie down, and then you can go into their psyche and help them to find answers.
And
Your voice is very,
QHHT
yeah, it's a
quantum-
hypnosis, yeah, quantum healing hypnosis, whatever.
Okay. I've heard of it. I'm not too familiar with it.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can pay online or somebody can train you. I'd rather you have somebody train you.
Yeah,
But,
I've been training in a lot of stuff.
yeah, can you talk a little bit more what you did over there with the training of the Navy? Like, can you get into the nitty gritty of like the telecommunications?
Well, basically for the telecommunications, I just learned how to fix telephones, TVs.
That's interesting. I learned how to fix telephones. I
Okay.
used to work for Voice Tel, and I was the only one in the office. His name was Steve. I forget his name, but he said his daughter's name was Sabine. I think I was just a test project. It was in a room like this, and it was to sell Voice Tel and fix phones. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, my special rate that I had in the Navy, the requirement was for me to be in the Navy for 6 years, not 4. So with that, I had to do training for the Mark 19 gyro compass. It was actually going obsolete at the time that they were training me, so it was like the second to the last class because it was a gyro compass, so it actually used physical gyros to maintain a fixed plane so you know where the ship's heading is at all times and everything. And so I did that, and then when I got to the ship, we actually had somebody that was starting a pay and study group. Like, as an experiment, he actually got permission from the religious the religious people on the ship. I was never religious. My dad did not want me to be involved in any kind of what do you call it? Organized religion. I know now why. But anyway, long story short, he started this pagan study group, and then I was like one of the founding members, and since I was on the ship for the whole 5 years, I was always a part of it, but I was never facilitated
Did
it.
you do any psychic things to see where the ship is headed?
On 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
because we were out to sea. We were actually supposed to pull in that day. We were doing workups before we go out on our deployment, because we're only a couple months away from our deployment. I actually held I actually do pendulum work. So that's my specialty, and I do it intuitively. But I use the pendulum just to see like when we were going to go out, and we ended up being the first ship to go out and to do whatever we needed to do. I don't know if that was part of Operation Southern Watch.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, Operation Southern Watch. And so I was just asking what dates we were going to leave, and the dates were correct. So we ended up leaving a little bit earlier. I think we were supposed to leave in like February, but we ended up leaving in October.
But you had no clue that the 9/11 thing was going to happen. You just knew what dates.
Actually, 9/11. Okay. Today is February 24th, right?
Yeah.
Okay, February 24th, 1996 was the day that I signed the delayed entry program at MEPS in Phoenix.
You got to take me to MEPS because they got me as a ghost. They want me to get my shot records. They only have 1973. So anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Anyway, when I actually signed my paperwork to join the military, as soon as I lifted my pen, I was like, oh crap, I'm going to be involved in a war.
Oh, shoot.
And then so 5 years goes by, 1996, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001. September 3rd, 2001, that's my anniversary date of the day that I actually joined the military. February was just me entering like the delayed entry program, but me actually going into boot camp was in September.
Yeah, I was in a delayed one too. Yeah.
So September 3rd, 2001, I'm sitting in a car with somebody else who was also psychic. She turns around and she starts talking about Nostradamus.
Oh, wow.
And a king of tower, a king and 2 towers falling or something like that. And she mentioned that, and I'm like, yeah, something's gonna happen soon because I've been in for 5 years. I got another year left to go, and I know there's gonna be a war happening. And then literally, September 3rd, however many days that was, I don't want to do the math right now. Like a whole week, week and a half, I've had a conversation about 9/11 before 9/11.
Yeah.
So when it happened, I'm like, so this is it. Okay. Yeah. So I never saw actual combat. He just kept the ship running, basically.
But in the meantime, you were being used for these black projects in your sleep.
And I've not,
right, guys?
I've had astral projection experiences before when I was in. Just a couple of them, just random that I was aware of.
Yeah.
But they were just so benign that like I didn't, but I do have dreams where I am like a special agent doing stuff.
Mhm.
And
You're a trained assassin like us.
Yeah.
Right, Stone? You can
Yep.
see it in her right away.
yeah, it's just
You
never,
okay?
never in the third dimension.
Yeah,
And
that's how it happens. That's how it happens. You know, all this time, oh, my daughter had the dream of the super soldiers in my room, and oh, I can't wait till Trump gets elected because we're gonna get a knock on our door, and I'm gonna get my suits on, and I'm gonna show my kids and my family that I'm a super soldier. Bullshit, crap. F that. No, it's in our dreams. It's in our dreams. It's in the astral.
Yeah, my body is not designed to be an assassin.
Believe me, you do it in your mind, with your mind. Yep. You can kill ghosts with your mind. Go ahead, Stone.
I was just saying you're stronger than you know, mate.
Yeah.
You're stronger than you know.
I'm starting to understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think is going on in the astral? It's like if your soul goes up into the astral in your dream space, and you're doing operations, and I've experienced like three nights ago, I dreamt that I told five soldiers to stand up by outbuildings and be really still because a helicopter was flying over. So the helicopter wouldn't
No,
see
you
them.
didn't. Wait, Eric, you did not say that. I gotta tell you something, brother. My son, 2 days ago, 3 nights ago, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. He said, Mom, we were in a dream. And he said that this ship was coming, but he said that I was very excited and I was calling it a portal. I'm sorry, a vortex. He said, Mom, you were saying that the vortex was coming above us over the building and you were excited. Could this be the same that you had?
Similar. I was just telling these five soldiers just to like stand still so the chopper didn't see them. Um, and there was a lady in the house
Wow.
that was there also. But I told him like just to like, but my main question is like, how does it affect, I mean, I don't know where it is. I don't know where this is happening. If it's in the astral, it's not really physical in a way, but are we like inhabiting clones or something in the
Yes,
dreams?
yes, we are. Yes.
It's kind of like, it's probably like Avatar system where
Yeah, yeah.
we have our bio bodies, right? But we also have our astral bodies and our etheric bodies, which are two other bodies that we label light energy bodies.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we're dreaming, sometimes we're in the astral plane or etheric plane, and those frequency bracketed dimensions are right here, right next to us. And that's why some of the other beings have the ability to phase shift their frequency in and out of ours and to the astral or etheric. And I believe that it's one of those or both of those frequency brackets is what they call the alternate Earth dimension or whatever. When they talk about the Agartha and the inner Earth and the underground and all of this, they're actually talking about this, other frequency bracket, and that these creatures and beings can phase shift from theirs to ours so that they can kind of tune in and out of our frequency when they want to. And because apparently a lot of the cryptids can do that.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a few photographs of and video footage of cryptids that, if you'll notice, they're translucent, like in their movement and stuff. I just saw another one, which was looked like some kind of gray creature that was obviously translucent because you could see through the leg to what's behind of it, but it was walking along. And this kind of thing has to do with our frequency bracket.
Yeah.
See, our perceptive abilities is all oriented around this 3D Earth frequency bracket that we're attuned to. But sometimes we can attune to other frequency brackets that are just outside of that bracket frequency. So we're tuning into other dimensions, in other words. And I think that's what's happening with the whole Mandela effect, is that ever since CERN, or even before maybe, that they have altered the timeline. And I think that's what the ancient Mayan calendar was about when it talked about end of time.
2012.
In 2012, it wasn't talking about the end of time as we conceive of it as, it was talking about the end of time as we know it. Previously, we perceived it as a continual linear timeline, but now it's like it alters in little ways, and because I think these dimensional brackets are fluctuating, and so sometimes they overlap here and there, and just like with people's experiences where they walk into a certain area, like in the woods, is where they're most likely to notice it because they don't have all the distractions of modern life. And they become aware of, well, this area, the energy seems different, and there seems to be some differences, but they can't quite pin it down to exactly what the differences are, other than they feel a little different, or the pressure feels different, or they'll say it feels like some kind of pressure change or alternation, or energy change, but it's subtle, and they can't really define it or understand it well.
Thank you, Wolf. I'll share later on after we're done here. I'll share a video of Al Bielek where he talks about the different Tesla technologies, and even further than that, the Manhattan Project, the Pegasus Project. What happens is every 20 years on August the 12th, Aleister Crowley talks about this too. The Earth has a biorhythm. Okay. And then during this time, when this happens, the poles shift and things can go interdimensionally here, even though, they can still keep going now, but they found out a way of manipulating it. And the Manhattan Project was also where some of the Navy soldiers got stuck in between the dimensions when they were trying to do this experiment. Okay. So every month, it's called Dog Day or Dog Year. A lot of people, even the Asian, Chinese people, whatever, they'll get married on the 12th of August because it's like, ooh, something special. Well, that's every month on the 12th of August, something happens with the alignment of the stars and the biorhythm of Earth where you can make magic happen. But specifically, I'll have to watch the video again or whatever. I don't know if it's every 10 or 20 years that actually does shift. And that's where you get the Bernstein Bears, the Bernstein Bears, all that stuff, the timeline change. I wanted Wolf to say real quick, he said it on the second video that we did, or the third video, where you took that grass weed or some kind of weed that you did, where you can see the auric field and there's these little tiny specks. And then of course, that's how our chakra system can be hacked. Okay, what did you see when you took that trip? What was it again, Wolf?
Well, that was one time back in 74 that I took Jimson wheat and tried that and experienced some things like alternate reality of talking to people that weren't there, and at one point seeing what I didn't know what it was at the time, but I found out many years later is what I was perceiving was their auric energy that was emanating from their body. And to me, it looked as though a kind of a see-through film just outside of their skin, and it varied from a tiny fraction of an inch to maybe 3/4 of an inch on people. And I noticed little spots in it, and I found out years later that those little spots were most likely the tiny vortexes of our bodies. You know how we have the main ones, the 7 main chakra vortexes, but we have hundreds of little tiny ones throughout our body. And so is what I'm actually seeing is probably their astral body or etheric body, which we might interpret as their aura body, you know. Oh, another thing that I wanted to mention is that more than a decade ago, I figured out that my belief is that everyone is abducted.
Yes.
And that the grays are basically like the maintenance men or the gardeners, or, they are sent out to do jobs, and everybody's abducted. Because after you're born, if you're abducted, it's highly likely you will end up with a scoop mark, usually on the front of your shin, on your lower leg.
Mhm.
And I figured out why that would be is because by taking a biopsy from the front of your shin, they can get like 4 or 5 different substances samples in one little scoop. Whereas most other places, they're going to have to be more invasive to get several different, bio substances. And see, that's what causes a birthmark. After you're born, you have a scoop mark if that happens. If you get a biopsy taken, right, it becomes a scoop mark. If you don't know what a scoop mark is, look it up on the internet, figure it out. Okay, it's where they've taken a bio sample, obviously, and it leaves a scar tissue on top of it. But see, if your body's a tiny fetus and it's got a biopsy taken from it, by the time you're born, you see that scar tissue has stretched so much, that skin is stretched from the time it's a little fetus to the time it's born, that's why it comes out looking like a Rorschach print. It's all stretched out, and that's what becomes a birthmark. Mm-hmm. Because if you get a scoop mark as a child or an adult, the size and shape isn't going to change much in your lifetime because it doesn't stretch that much. Your skin doesn't stretch that much.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you. So my dad was born with a huge birthmark here. Okay. I was born with that same birthmark in the back. And my middle sister was born with the birthmark here on her wrist.
I don't know if you can see it now, but I've always
It's a tag,
I have
right?
a birthmark in the back.
Yeah.
I gotta
Oh,
get yours.
And also on that same subject is that I figured out why, if you study birthmarks, you'll find that most birthmarks happen from here to here. In other words, from the fatty tissue of the upper legs up to this area. In other words, and why? Well, because that's the big mass and fat tissue and muscle tissue area of your body. So if you're a gray doing lab work and you're doing this all day, plunging into a placenta and getting a biopsy, you're shooting for the the most biomass area. But think about it. So most people get birthmarks on their upper thigh, their buttocks, their back, their side, stomach area, whatever, right? Now, but that doesn't apply to everybody. Some people could have one anywhere. Some people even have a birthmark where they can't see it, so they might not even know they have a birthmark, right? Because think about it, if you're an alien lab worker and you're doing this all day, plunging, getting biopsies from fetuses, if you happen to screw up and, you got one from the back of the neck, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to go back in and get another one? What for? You've already got the biopsy, even though it wasn't from the massive part of the body, you still got the tissue sample you needed. So you're just going to go on to the next one and the next,
Mm-hmm. Guys, we're gonna wrap up. I have like 3 minutes or 5.
Don't you have 45 minutes?
No, that's not too something.
I'm not sure if that's right.
No, this is not right. This one is
okay.
Florida time or whatever. Phoenix time, I think. Yeah, we have 14 minutes here, but if we can just go around the room with last remarks and where they can find you, if you've written anything, books or whatever, just this is the time for you to boast about yourself. And we'll start with, we'll do Erik, then Stone, then Teresa, then Rebecca, and then Wolf. Okay? Okay, thank you.
My name's Erik. I have Surface Planet Radio on SoundCloud. You can Google Surface Planet Radio and it should pop up. I've been doing radio for since 2014 and interviewed a lot of interesting whistleblowers and experiencers and yeah, so this week I'll be interviewing Nathan Sizik for the sixth time. And we're going to talk about how the Epstein files is just scratching the surface. And I think what's going to happen next is the satanic rituals are going to be the next topic, is my prediction. Satanism all over the planet with the Vatican and the elite doing these practices and all that's entailed with the children and that kind of stuff. So that's about it.
I always say that all roads lead to Antarctica. Where can you be found, Erik?
Surface Planet Radio on SoundCloud.
And Facebook?
Yeah, Facebook too. Yeah.
I met you in Florida. It was nice to meet you.
Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna have another conference this summer.
I don't know either.
So there was a lot of fallout.
I don't see it right now, but thank you. How about you, Miss Stone? You're next.
You can find me at stonehobbit.com. That's my webpage, and on my webpage you've got lots of different locations. I do a podcast, Rough Shot Ramblings, and we do what we call spontaneous combustion, which means there's no planning, it just happens. So, you know, and that's what I like. I also do Hearthfire Hangout. This is on your Wednesdays, my Thursdays, and it's deprogramming. It's going into some very deep, dark places, and that goes for 2 hours, and then 2 hours from there, you know, it's back to back. The next one is Hearthfire Motivational Writers, where you start realizing that you're actually doing shadow work by doing your writing. And by doing that, you're allowed to be free, you know, because it's at the end of the day, what is hurt? Hurt equals not being able to express yourself freely. So once you start getting these tools, then your inner child comes out. Communication is major. It's major, amazing. So you can find me. There's a free. I'm one of these ones that just say, this is information we all need to have, and we should have been given it to us when we were younger. So just look up Stone Hobbit. You'll find me. I've been around for at least 20 years. Yeah, angry at start, but now I'm no longer the victim. I am now a, basic communicator, navigator. Let's do this now. Let's get it right. We know what's going on now. So just look up Stone Hobbit. You'll find me in different locations. So yeah.
Thank you, Mama. Teresa, you're up.
Hello, everybody. This has been a very interesting thing, and the Greys came up quite a few times, and I'm just wondering how many of you were originally told that the Greys, we were able to see them and channel them and get to know them, and they would do little favors for us to help us pass our exams at school, and they weren't imaginary. They were yeah.
Yep.
They were very real, and they were us from the future because they couldn't breed anymore. That's why they needed us. So you don't have to answer me today, but we'll get that. I wrote that question down real big on my paper so I can ask it again. But I'm on Facebook under my name, Teresa Sixberry, spelled just like that. And I'm just really happy to be here today.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all. And now drum roll for Rebecca, our new member.
Hi, I don't have a platform yet.
But you will.
I will. I have had more than one psychic tell me that spirit has told them that I need to have my own YouTube channel. I am such a multi-dimensional person. I have no idea where to start. I'm better off in conversation with somebody.
Same.
Sorry. So, you know, when I come up with something or when I do start something, I will let people know. Until then, I'm just floating around and I'm just waiting for my, I don't know what you call them, my teachers or whatever to show up for me.
You're your own teacher. See?
I
What is it when the student? What is it? The
when
teacher.
when the student
Yeah.
is ready, the teacher appears.
See?
And vice
Here we are.
versa. Right. No, I have been a teacher for many people. I have also been told when I was in the Navy that I would show up to them in their dreams and teach
Yes.
them as well. So I am a teacher in the astral plane, I'm guessing. I don't
Yes.
know what I'm doing because when I come back, I have no recollection.
Just think of me or think of whoever you want to think of at night to connect to, and then
Okay.
you'll be in their dreams and then you'll remember. Yeah,
Okay.
that happens to me.
Yeah. But I haven't even been remembering. I know I go somewhere in my dreams, but when I wake up and as soon as I try to remember, I can't remember.
Go backward. Even
Okay.
what I have to do, guys, is I have to go back into my bed sometimes,
Okay.
or just if I'm in the shower, close my eyes and ask the water. Remind me, go backward. Okay, as I wake up, what was I dreaming?
Okay.
And then boom, boom, boom. During the day, you'll remember and
Okay.
write it down. Please.
Yeah. I mean, at least as long as I have keywords or something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
I'll write
Yeah,
down the
bullet
keywords and
Mhm.
then it'll probably come back. Yeah.
Mr. Wolf.
Oh, well, this year I'm definitely going to make myself write my
Yes,
partial autobiography.
yes.
And it will be labeled WTF.
Or what the fuck? What is it gonna be called?
No, it's
Excellent.
just for a little bit of history that I happen to be the individual that started the creation of that phrase back
Really?
in 1975 was when I started saying it.
Oh.
And then when I came back into there and visited in the 90s, of course, by then, in the 80s, I started hearing it around everywhere.
Where were you
Right.
when you first started using it?
I was in Poughkeepsie, New York in
Ah.
1975, it was.
So it's a term
And
that
it
came
was
from.
because it was a shortened abbreviation of what I had been saying for a year and a half.
Mhm.
And I got so tired of saying the entire sentence, I just dropped the first part of the sentence and just went with the last part of the sentence.
Yeah, yeah.
Or, the first part of the sentence and dropped the second half of the sentence, so.
Mhm. And how can they get a hold of you and?
Well, they can't, but.
I know.
Hopefully it'll be out by the end of the summer and, it'll be my partial autobiography.
How did you first learn about MUFON and Tucson Paranormal, and how'd you hook up with the community? What, 20 years ago? 10
Oh,
years ago?
well,
Here in Tucson.
in '84, I looked for things happening in Tucson and found things and went to them. And then in '85, I found MUFON in Tucson because it was its first year in Tucson.
It was so cool. He
So-
took me to go see Brad Olson again, which we've been in 2 conferences together. And thank you, Wolf and Rebecca and all you. I will never forget Brad Olson because when I was a newbie, okay, I just found out. Okay, so then they invited me to speak in Vegas in March of 2021. And after I gave my speech, of course I cried because I had to tell him everything that happened to me in like 1 hour. And how I came back to life because I died for 3 days and why am I here, right? He invites me to his dinner table and there's Michael Jaco and Tracy Jaco. So I will always forever be grateful for Brad Olson. And it was great to see him again. And thanks for being on Codebreaker Real Talk. I have 13% battery, my lucky number, and 33. I'm Veronica Bartolini with Codebreaker Real Talk. Unchained hearts, unchaining hearts. Vettel's Junk Journals. I'm on all platforms that I can get a hold of because we have to get this word out. And I hope to see you guys soon. Love you. Bye. Just Google me.
Bye.
See you later.